Manchester City are out of the Champions League. Real Madrid are through. Real Madrid are through to the final of the Champions League.
Yes, I think it's more a case of that Man City are out, though. That's how I see it.
See,
But no, actually, this is the question:
Okay.
which is the narrative spin? So, like, there's one side, Rodrigo scores 2 goals, they give it away in 1 minute, or another side, City throw it away. Which is it?
No, I think it's recovery. I think it's Real Madrid, because if he's into this thing that they're part of a very small group of teams who, doesn't matter what they experience, doesn't matter the adversity they encounter, the kind of muscle memory of lifting European Cups and winning important games is so substantial that it has no effect. They're kind of completely resistant to circumstances. And I love it. It's just, it's what you want from football. And look, the easy thing is the City collapsing, and no, you should never ever give a 2-goal lead away in, you say it was 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes.
The score sheet said Rodrigo 90 and Rodrigo 90 plus 1.
Yeah, that should never happen. And oh my god. Oh, okay.
What?
We've got a special intruder into the podcast. Hello, identify yourself.
Hello, am I on the loudspeaker?
You're on holiday.
The loudspeaker. You're on holiday as well.
So you said I wasn't even allowed to text you yesterday.
I'm on holiday. Well, JJ's not allowed to text me, but Seb is. Now listen, I've been watching for the first.
Do
two or
you
three
think
minutes.
I just?
First, I'd like to say, sound doesn't work. I can't hear you. It does work. It sounds lovely. You look fantastic. You don't look tired at all. But listen, one thing you haven't done, okay, is just remind the viewers that they can subscribe to The Athletic. They can actually get a 30-day free trial to try it out. I highly suggest that they do that by visiting theathletic.com/Tifo. That's theathletic.com/Tifo. Yeah?
Now, Joe, obviously you are famous for your micromanaging. You're on holiday, and you've been on holiday for 2.5 days. Is there any micromanaging that you want to do live on the live stream right now?
There's a little bit, yeah. And well, firstly, all I really want to do is something I'm very interested in hearing your opinion specifically about, and I'll stay on the line to hear this, Seb.
Right, okay.
I'd love to hear what you thought about the time wasting there in the second half. And as I said, I'll stay on the line to hear what you have to say. I'm going to put
you on the desk so you can listen to it, but then I'm going to go back to my microphone, because obviously if you were actually here, you would be saying get close to your microphone. So you're kind of, you're going to have to sit there. Well, JJ and I both have opinions about the time wasting. And I think I don't really have such a problem with the players doing it, because the players do what they can get away with. I have a problem with the way it's policed and the way that time's added on at the end, and that was kind of your take too, JJ.
I think the referee I think it's hard to be a referee at that level. I think when you're in a bustling cauldron of football, the Real Madrid, what's it called? The Bernabeu. Yeah. I mean, that guy is making some odd decisions, but he also made some very good ones. Like Raheem Sterling running between two players, expecting the foul that never came at the end. You know the one where he puts out for a goal kick?
Yeah.
At first, you look, well, that looks like a free kick. Why he's not getting that? It's actually the correct decision. And then things like, I can understand why he didn't give Casemiro a yellow card in the first 15 minutes, but he should have done, because it was a yellow card. Yeah. But he's trying to manage the game. I get that.
Do you mean the one where you see the picture of him grabbing his shirt from?
No, that was after he slid into someone early on.
I mean, because he could have had enough yellow cards really to miss most of next year's group stage.
Yeah.
Should have been booked a lot.
Well, yes. And then I think there are two ways to look at the time wasting in the final part of the game, in the extra time section. And one of them is that they are being weasels and doing as weasels will.
Weaseling.
They
are weaseling.
And they're winning time for themselves. But the referee and his many friends in referee land, surely that's got to be more than 3 minutes added on. What's even funnier about it, I thought, the referee blew the final whistle at 2 minutes 47 of extra time. Not even the full 3. There should have been about 5 or 6. And had it been Real Madrid the other way around, I suspect it would have been about 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. The thing is, though, let's come back to it, because I feel like, what was your favourite moment from the 120 minutes? Like, let's leave the time wasting and come back to it, because it feels like we're kind of making excuses before we even discussed it. And I feel like Real Madrid deserved to win it. And yeah, time wasting and time added on probably wasn't sufficient. But I felt like, because of the decision City made towards the end of the game, if they'd had another 5 minutes on the end of it, extra time, they still wouldn't have scored. It got a little bit ropey and chaotic towards the end.
Well, I think City played it almost perfectly. Like, there was, if you can hear some noise, by the way, there's neighbours upstairs. I don't know what they do, but
have a good time.
They have nice clothes when they come in the building.
They're so fashionable, those people.
Yeah.
I feel so uncool and old when I see them.
They've got music playing. Anyway, what was my point? Oh yeah, I thought City were almost perfect with this because, like Guardiola said before the game, they need to defend really well, and then everyone's asking him whether that means they're going to sit deep and, you know, do like a block thing like they've never done before. And obviously that's not what he means. And they defended by pushing really high and squeezing them in. And even towards the end, Guardiola, I think his instruction was he was doing sort of like hand signals where he was like over. This is visual medium, so I can do this. He goes over and then squeeze. So it's like get the ball into the space behind the defense and then squeeze up to push them in. That's how they're stopping them. They're defending by stopping the counter-attack. So they're just pushing up really high so they can't build up. And then they were forcing the ball long because they knew Real Madrid had to struggle to get up with them. And all the pace was wide left with Vinicius Jr. on that side. And Walker had him for the game. There was a couple of times he caught you positionally, which is always going to happen throughout the game. But they mostly had that. And that's like the big change for me, like where, and I'm going to try and do a video on this, see if it works after this live stream. Where I think Guardiola lost the game was in substitutions. One of them is enforced. Walker had to go off. It might have been planned anyway. Yeah. But minutes before that, Rodrigo came on. And who did he replace? He replaced...
Casemiro? Oh, no. So,
Kroos.
Kroos.
So Kroos went off, right? So the shape... So City's the usual 4-3-3 in possession. It's 4-1-4-1 or 2-3-5. And out of possession 4-4-2 or 4-2-4. However you want to look at it. And they are not marking, but... guarding against certain players getting the ball at certain times to stop the ball getting moved up from Real Madrid. High line to be able to sure that it can't get out. When they have the ball, push right up, really aggressive, super risky. It's what Liverpool do really well all the time as well. It works really well for them. But then what happens is Rodrigo comes on to the right wing. Now, throughout the whole game, Real Madrid didn't have wide right. So all their width was from the fullback who's never getting forward. Valverde was playing on the wide right role there. So Benzema to the middle and Vinicius to the left. And Benzema was coming more to the left with him. They're almost doubling up on that sort of part of the pitch. So Walker was dealing with Vinicius. Benzema wasn't getting a real look in because Diaz and Laporte mostly had him looked after. But the midfield was Modric, Kroos and Casemiro joined with Valverde coming in to perform like a 3 while Modric pushed into the 10. And in previous games, Modric has been a 10, and that's when they've been into games. I've thought Modric has been like people talk about how good Modric was. I think this in the quarterfinal, but he was only good really on the ball when he moved it into a 10 space. Yeah,
I feel like Modric without the ball in this Champions League, particularly in knockouts, has been a little bit not showing his age, but it feels like his duties have been adjusted around his age and his inability to keep pace with the game. One thing I want to talk about because
I've not finished my tactics bit yet.
Oh, you go ahead. Okay.
So the way they lost it is that after that came on. So suddenly Cancelo had to swap to the right. So then City lose one of their key players in build-up and in the attacking phase. So they lose that player there from the left side when he comes inside. And then what they also do is they match up with Real Madrid to play like a 4-2-3-1. So Fernandinho and Rodri, which later became Fernandinho and Gundogan, were the 2. So it's 4 and a 2. Mm-hmm. And then the 1 was at different stages, Bernardo, Foden, other people. But they matched that. Now, the reason that was so important to me is that when you have a 3 in the middle of the pitch, you have the pivot, single pivot there. So the ball, you've got like your angles, your passing lanes, your triangles, and you change that and it changes the shape of the passing angles in the way, like you look at passing map, the way that looks. It changes completely when you have the 2 over a 1. But you also lose the coverage on either side of the single pivot. And so by popping that to a 2, suddenly you had, rather than having like 3 players out of the game, say Real Madrid earlier in the game were managing to get past De Bruyne would help lead the front next to Jesus, then he would drop into midfield and form a 3. But when he had gone off, what they were then having was a 4 of like Grealish, Foden, Bernardo, and someone else was there, and they were just getting bypassed, and then you just had 2 midfielders to cover the whole of the pitch. And you saw, I think it was the penalty, you saw the ball, suddenly they had space in the wide area, especially on the right. Yeah. So before there wasn't really space anyway, now suddenly they had an actual winger there and Rodrigo on the space there, and Rodri was trying to get back to chase him, can't because he's not fast enough. I think it was Rodri, might be
Fernandinho. That's a lot of pitch for Rodri to cover.
Yeah, it's far too much. And that was when Fernandinho was on with Rodri, and then Fernandinho comes in, I think, he makes the tackle? No, it's Diaz.
It's Diaz, he makes the tackle on Benzema and doesn't quite get there.
So that, I think there's a reason why you matched up with Real Madrid, because you want to try and see out the game. So a smart way or a normal way of doing it is to go like man to man with that team, push them high, like squeeze them up, and you've got a man watching every single man. So you think you're better than them or at least equal to, so you should be able to see that out and block it down. But instead, Real Madrid got the space they were looking for all game long. And I wonder whether Ancelotti knew that at some point Walker would come off around that 60, 70 minute mark. And that's why Rodrigo was off at the start. Because you couldn't put him against Cancelo. You couldn't trust him to track Cancelo all the time. That's one of the things Rodrigo's not best at. He's good at being on the counter. But Cancelo's too dangerous going forward as that. So you play Valverde, who naturally plays inside the pitch. That way you're protecting against Cancelo coming forward. And then you take Valverde back and put him into another position. Then you've got Rodrigo in the space there. And you put him against Zinchenko and you're...
That Valverde point's interesting because until prior to this season, I didn't really think of him as someone that could provide attacking support. I thought of him as a kind of, not stationary central midfielder, but someone who wasn't going to go right up to the penalty box.
I thought he was like very box to box, I thought.
Yeah, I didn't see in him, but also the Rodrigo thing, I wonder whether a little bit of it was to do with the impact that he had in other games. So, I think we talked about this before, but one of the advantages of dropping a player off is that you have him as an impact player at the end of like a two-legged game with league games in between. Obviously, the big advantage that Real Madrid have over Man City at the moment is that, they've got their league title wrapped up. And they knew they were going to for quite a while, whereas City is still competing, one of the best Liverpool teams of all time. So, there's no respite there. There's no kind of drop-off. There's no rotation. And you can probably exploit a City team in the last sort of 20 minutes of the game. Hey, I do want to talk about one sort of non-tactical bit with the Real Madrid thing. So, Rodrigo's second goal, his header, it's really interesting. When it happened, I remember saying to you, that's an incredible finish because there's a little bit of a nick off Asensio before it gets to him. But then when you watch it again, there's no adjustment. Like he's in place for the header. He's adjusted his body. Asensio gets a little bit of a flick, and Rodrigo doesn't really change his position. So you could say that it's almost an assist because it hits him in the wrong part of the head, and it goes into a really strange part of the goal with an odd sort of trajectory. It's not a bullet header. It's a sort of I'm struggling for the vocab. It's a swirling header. That if you look at it from side on,
a swirling header.
It is. It's got a little bit of a.
Oh, it's got a lot of pace in that goes in.
It's got a lot of pace in it, but it moves strangely.
It's like a dart.
So Edison has a bit of an issue with it. Yeah, but with a dart with a bit of a curvy flight, maybe something like that. Something like that.
Well, I've been playing this game on the Oculus Quest thing called it's called Player. It's by Rezel, and it's a sort of training thing. You can use it as a training or a workout aid, but it's sort of a game, really. It's fun. But it's all to do with headers. So, you may have seen on Tifo IRL, we did a video a while ago about playing football in virtual reality. I do have a point to this. There was a point. Stay with me for the point. Now, on that virtual reality trip down virtual reality lane, we could kick the ball, the virtual ball, with things you stick on your legs that let the computer know that you are kicking the ball. This is what I'm saying. Now, the Rezel one on the Oculus, you can use it to head. It's about headering. Yeah. So you're heading the ball.
That's a really good video if you find it on the IRL channel.
Yes, you should watch that video. Please watch that video. It did not get the views.
Sort of 50,000, you could watch that video right now.
Yeah.
But not right now, but after the...
How many's watching? 2.7 thousand?
I mean, not now.
If you could all watch after this, the VR one on Tifo IRL.
Do a little bit of that and then you just put it on and then leave.
Do it in this order. Subscribe to The Athletic, 1.
Yep.
2, subscribe to Tifo IRL if you haven't already. You must be if you're here, right?
As well, do that.
Do that.
Yeah.
Like the stream. Yeah. That helps. Like all the videos you see that we do. And then find the VR thing. That's the order. I already said that one. Yeah. Again, doesn't matter. So the whole point of this was that I've been doing the header one a lot, and I can see that I'm just trying to think how Rodrigo's heading that, because his reactions, right? He's jumped up anticipating the original flight of the ball, but he doesn't know exactly where the ball's going. He's anticipating roughly where it's going to go, and then the ball changes a very slight direction and speed, and rather than putting his head through it, he just sort of adjusts his head. Yeah. And what I found with the Rezel thing is if you put your head through it like that, the ball goes flying miles, and I think, well, that's not how I think it works in real life. But then I have to remember, I'm terrible at heading in real life, and this is probably why, because I'm doing that.
I 100% close my eyes when I head footballs. I still do that. I'm more of a head like that. I'm not I would never make a target man. Yeah. But I wonder whether, because it hits a slightly strange part of his forehead. That's part of it. He may adjust, he may make a slight adjustment as the flight of the ball changes. But it's that I don't know, impure contact with his forehead that...
Was this the day that Rodrigo became a man?
No, well, because we talked about...
Camavinga, was this the day he became a man?
No, I thought Camavinga had a bad game. Joe Devine's favourite player. Yeah,
I thought he was brilliant when he came on.
I thought he was a bit chaotic.
that's what it needed. I mean, it wasn't. It's no coincidence that he was on when all the stuff started happening. He makes stuff happen.
Yeah,
dropping
maybe,
deep,
maybe.
going box to box, buzzing about. I thought he was excellent. Sliding into tackles, like getting the crowd up, that sort of stuff. When City had it calmed down, they're slowing everything down. Here comes Camavinga and just like notches it up.
Activates the chaos. Yeah, maybe that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah. I was a little disappointed by De Bruyne, just because I don't know. I think he was on a kind of hiding nothing because his performance in the first leg was so good that everything else is going to be kind of disappointing. But when he came off, when he was substituted, I thought that's a very big shout from Guardiola. And then you look at his performance and his actual contribution to the game, you think, yeah, one game too many, possibly.
I'll be honest, I don't know who you're talking about because I zoned out while you were saying that.
You did that, yeah.
I'm really
Kevin
sorry.
De Bruyne, actually.
De Bruyne, that was a huge loss when he went off, yeah.
Yeah, because you think also, like, with someone like that, De Bruyne's in that territory where it kind of doesn't matter if you don't play well, because you're so good that you don't have to play well. You're there for the moment when it comes. And you wonder whether this is obviously hindsight talking, but you wonder when, in those last few minutes, when City had a little bit of possession around the Real penalty box and they were looking for a pass, looking for a ball, and they kept making bad decisions, didn't put it in, couldn't find the right delivery. You think, Kevin De Bruyne is in there. If he's in that kind of inside right channel and you give him the ball in that situation, that's your route back into the game potentially, if all else fails. But it wasn't there. But that was, that kind of scrambled my mind, that game. Because in the first match, it was great and it was great entertainment, but it was great entertainment spread over a long period. This was just too much happening. I felt like my senses were being assaulted a little bit by
sensory overload.
A little bit, yeah. I'm a bit frazzled as a result.
It was good fun. I really did not expect it to happen. Steve McManaman kept saying he'd never seen anything like it, but I bet he definitely saw the PSG versus Barcelona game at Barcelona. I bet he saw that, and all the other massive comebacks that have happened recently. Do you think we've talked enough about Real Madrid versus Man City? It was really fun and we could do ages on it, but I'm conscious of the time and that I want to be in my house at some point.
On it. So let's go and do Liverpool Villarreal, because that was great in a different way.
I'm going to try and do a video on this game after this, and then producer Don is going to turn it into a video. So just all thoughts and hopes for Don's skills and his time.
Do you know what this game taught me? Villarreal, Liverpool, not Real Madrid, Manchester City. So there's two types of teams in the semi-finals of the Champions League. One who kind of are comfortable in their place there, understand how to win in that situation. Another who get jolted by any kind of adversity. So Villarreal play perfect first half, brilliant first half. It was one of the only times I've seen Liverpool get actually bullied. I think that's fair. In 45 minutes in a really, really long time. Villarreal play well. They deserve their 2-0 lead. But you just knew at half time that Liverpool would go back into the dressing room, and because a lot of those players have not only won a lot of stuff but also been in a lot of different situations with each other, with that head coach, and understand their route out of it, because you don't get to where Liverpool have got to without being able to navigate difficult situations. And Villarreal, as soon as something bad happened, it was over. So Fabinho scores, and it's a bad goal to concede by Really, and I quite like Really. I felt a bit sorry for him. He had a bad moment. But you think, even then, there's no away goals in this tournament. It's one goal. You've already shown that you can break down this defence and score goals and cause them trouble, and yet they completely disintegrated. It's a kind of, I know it's become a little bit trite and it's a bit overused, but that mentality thing that Klopp goes on about, that's it in evidence right there. And it's a really interesting example of it, because also really, really, unfortunately, it was kind of the poster child of what happened to Villarreal. But it's interesting because when one thing happens to him, it's a succession of things. And it culminates in that weird moment where he rushes out of his goal, and it's like an act of attempted redemption, which doesn't really go right. It ends up making everything much, 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 much worse. You've done the zoning out thing again.
No.
You've done your zoning out face. I know your zoning out face. It's the same as Joe's.
It's similar. Well, I thought so. I remember some of the things you said there, and one of them they sort of thought they were bullied, Liverpool.
I did in the first half.
So I thought my take on it was that Liverpool approached this in a way that is sensible in trying to control the game. They weren't trying to be super aggressive and go for them. They're trying to control it, and so you come out with a mentality where you're like, don't go nuts. Basically, don't go nuts. Go cool. And you come onto the pitch and you just try and like stroke the ball about, keep your position, keep your shape, don't allow anything crazy to happen. That's what you do. But Villarreal went bananas. Like they were just at it from the start and went straight through at them, and Harry, and they didn't like it.
Yeah.
And you could see it put them a little bit of like, whoa, I didn't really expect that. And it was a difference in mentalities. I mean, there was a small tactical thing. I think you said to me earlier today that the change with Diaz to Jota, the real difference that happened was that Jota was coming too deep a lot of the time, whereas Diaz was playing more off he went to the left, right, and Mane went to the middle. Is that right?
That's how it felt, yeah.
Yeah. So like some of this I was analysing by doing other things. I was making dinner. But one of the things I noticed with that was a real difference. In the second half, Liverpool would have been able to get themselves like back in the right zone of mentality. So one of them was up here. They were really hot up here, and Liverpool were cool, but they needed to try and bring it down a little bit. And as soon as Liverpool had matched that mentality, and you can't really qualify this, you know, you can't prove that that's what happened. This is how I felt it. So I felt
also it stacks up though, because if you can't play with Villarreal's intensity for more than an hour, I don't think.
Yeah, you're probably right there. Yeah.
And then as soon as it drops off, as soon as that level comes down, and as soon as Liverpool start to feel a little bit more comfortable, mixed in with all that sort of that prior knowledge, muscle memory, whatever you want to call it, that's a really dangerous combination for Villarreal. I think.
And they're better players in as well, right?
Yeah,
So
Parejo,
sure. Marino, was Parejo missing from the first leg? I thought he was. I can't remember.
Don't think so.
Anyway, apparently they had the better players back, so you sort of saw that. But I mean, I think everyone's seen this or seen the highlights of it. I don't think there's a huge amount tactically you can sort of take from it. Villarreal just went at them more because they were at home, so they could. A lot of people have said it's a different team. Oh, they were totally different to the team one we saw that was played at Anfield. Of course they were. It's Anfield. No one ever seems to win at Anfield in Europe. They don't do it. No. You've got to play different home and away. Villarreal had inferior players.
Inter won at Anfield, didn't they? Didn't go through, but didn't they win 1-0?
I don't remember.
Lautaro. Someone correct me in the chat if I'm wrong about that. I just remember Lautaro's goal at Anfield this season.
Yeah.
Do you have more to say about Villarreal Liverpool?
Not really. I think we could sort of talk about the final. Do we want to do that?
Yeah, I went into tonight thinking I want to see another Liverpool Man City game, but then I thought to myself, well, Liverpool Real Madrid, you have that Salah Sergio Ramos injury angle from 2018.
Ramos doesn't play for them anymore.
I do know that.
He's at PSG now.
I feel like Ramos, that moment has become associated with Real Madrid more than necessarily Ramos, and so that becomes a little bit of a revenge. I'm trying to make the case for it.
So Eder Militao can sellotape his groin back together again for this game. He might be able to do the same thing.
He might be able to do the same thing. Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Also, I feel like at different points of this tournament, we've thought, right, that's Real Madrid out of magic, and that's Real Madrid out of kind of lucky escapes or sort of little moments, Benzema moments. And yet, I want to see another game because I want to see what else they've got. And actually, I think if Carlo Ancelotti was able to win the European Cup with this team, that is a hell of an achievement. Because I think
he's one of the greatest managers of all time.
But I think if you compare it to like the first Real Madrid team he won the European Cup with, which included sort of peak age Cruz and Modric and Cristiano Ronaldo in there. Benzema was however many years younger. Like, I think they're more talented. This group is good, but involves a lot of players who are still evolving. Like Rodrigo's sort of come of age. Vinicius is really developing, but he's not quite the finished article yet. We've talked about Fede Valverde. Militao is in there. There's a lot of, and also like David Alaba, good player. A great fullback, great midfielder sometimes. Not quite sold him as a centre half.
He's a great footballer. He's not a great centre back.
That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. I was less eloquent about it, but it's to get this team there is amazing.
I think Liverpool are going to batter Real Madrid.
Yeah, I suspect.
I think it could be
right.
a 2-0 proper doing. Now that said, this Real Madrid team are one of, if not the greatest football team ever. Like, I love the Barcelona team of Guardiola. I love all that.
You really love that team.
I really love that team
really
a lot.
Do,
I remember watching them. It was fantastic, right? They had everything that I like about it. There's other teams that are also very, very good. But Real Madrid, Benzema could win his 5th Champions League medal.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Ridiculous.
So this is what we're going through. And obviously this is without Cristiano Ronaldo, who's not there now, who's an important part of that team. There's players they've come and gone, like Di Maria, Ozil, all these lads in and out, But I can't remember if Di Maria was part of one of the Champions League winning teams. I don't remember.
Yeah, he was part of the Decima, because remember his zigzag for the Bale goal against Atletico. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's all well and good. So that's one of the things. But although I think Liverpool are just the better. This is the thing. I think Liverpool Man City, I don't know who would have won that. I have no idea who would win that final, but I strongly feel Liverpool will beat Real Madrid. And I'll think that right up until all the pundits keep saying Liverpool are going to find it, they'll be better than them. And then I'll suddenly want Real Madrid to win.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens.
Yeah.
Same as when there's other teams, especially international football, I'll be rooting for certain teams and then the pundits will start saying they're going to win every game, then I want them to lose. It's other teams do that. Anyway, but what I think about this Real Madrid team, and I noticed in this, I'm going to probably redo this line in my video that I do in a minute.
Okay. Good practice.
Is that, in Jurassic Park?
Yes. First Jurassic Park.
Yes. The original.
Yeah.
It was the OG. It was the original. When they're talking about the Raptors testing the electric fence. Is that good a story? Is it?
This is interesting. I was really tired. I've had a really long day.
Right. So it's the Raptors, I think. I think the T-Rex tests the fence as well, but I think it's mostly the Velociraptors, which, and we all know this by now. They're meant to be the Deinonychus dinosaur, which is what it's based on, because raptors are actually very small. They're more like chickens, but they have the claw in this movie. When Deinonychus had the claw, there's more I can tell you about this. Anyway, so they're testing the fence, right, for a weakness. And when there is a weakness, because Dennis Nedry has gone off to steal Seinfeld's mail.
Which is Dennis Nedry, the guy with the dinosaur that does that.
Yes, and that is a Diphlorus. One of those. I can't remember how to say that. Diphlorus. I don't know. Do you think he saw us?
Yeah.
And anyway, so when there's a slight flaw in the fence, those things get out and they wreak havoc.
Yeah.
And do you know what I think Real Madrid were doing all this game? Sitting back, testing the fence. They're just testing the fence. And then the fence was slightly loose because Nedry had moved things around and put Rodri and Fernandinho back next to each other in the middle, and suddenly the fences are weak either side, and then bang, Rodrigo turns up.
I like that.
That's a good analogy.
Hey, on the fly, that was pretty good. Hey, while you were talking, I was obviously listening to you, but I was also thinking about something else, which is that if Liverpool win the Champions League, potentially Sadio Mane could win the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Premier League, the Champions League, and the Africa Cup of Nations in the same season. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's really good.
That's Ballon d'Or territory. Like I know Benzema's in it too, but that's an amazing achievement. Like because also
you probably couldn't look past him. Yeah.
No, that's an unimpeachable argument. Like you can't ask more of a player than that. And also, if you think about his status for Senegal, like he is Senegal's forward line. Really, like I know there are very good players around him, but he is clearly like the superstar on that side, and he's been one that sort of whose form has recovered afterwards, and in a way that's allowed Liverpool to not rely solely on Mohamed Salah and bring other players into the team. And he's adapted to that new position in the kind of the centre of attack, because he's played really as a sort of a 9-10 at times in the second half since the turn of the year. So he's been amazing. And that just occurred to me. I mean, it occurred to me at the same time while fully digesting and appreciating and enjoying your Jurassic Park Raptors fence testing.
I think my fence testing bit would have been a better way to wrap up the whole live stream, personally.
Yeah, I should have just stopped talking. But should we stop talking together now?
Well, I've had a good time. I've also noticed that the people upstairs are making an awful lot of noise. It's very loud.
They're doing a lot of talking.
So, one thing we should do before we go, has been asked a few times. I can ask this like someone would on TV. So, how will this affect Manchester City in the league?
Why are you doing an English accent?
Because that's how I imagine them saying it. But how will they? And then the pundit always goes, "Oh yeah, a lot." Or will it affect Man City in the league?
That's interesting, because for your expert opinion, you reverted back to your original accent. That's an interesting. That's interesting. So in this,
is it going to derail it? Are they going to go? Are they going to just fall apart now?
No, because I don't.
Okay.
I think City is still. I think the benefit that City have is that, and Liverpool have this too, is that they're just so much stronger than everybody else that they're going to face in the rest of the league.
If anything, it might reinvigorate their title push.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure a Premier League title saves City's season. Not save City's season. They've had a good season. I just mean that I'm not sure it changes the perception of it, because at the moment with Guardiola, it's you either win the Premier League, you either win the Champions League, or you don't, because it's that territory, isn't it?
I've got a last one for you. Right?
Go on then. Go on.
So
do the thing, the accent. With
no, because it's a proper one. My friend Jack texted me this earlier, and I thought it was funny.
Okay.
If Liverpool win the Champions League, and Man City win the league, wouldn't they both like to swap those? Isn't it a bit deflating for both? Not deflating, that's the wrong word. I know it's great winning either.
Well, City would, but I think Liverpool's relationship with the European Cup is such that it never doesn't feel good.
A trophy's a trophy,
It's gotta be
especially a
really
European
nice
one.
to win the European Cup at all times.
The other good thing about winning the European one is that it's filled with chocolate. So
Not a lot of people know that.
no,
No.
if you start to peel the gold off,
Yeah.
chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's one of the things that, like, when you know, when you get awarded the European Cup and you've done with all the lifting and like you've played a lot of football and you just don't just sort of get hungry and start eating it.
Yeah, you can't eat the foil.
I think this is a really good place to end the live stream. I think we have reached the point.
I start to go off rail.
You have, and Joe's not here, so he doesn't, there's no authority to this. It's just a bit wild.
Yeah.
So I think it's best if, because this is live, that we stop talking, finish, and bid everyone a good night and happy, Europa League tomorrow.
Yes, have a happy Europa League tomorrow.
Europa League semi is going to be great.
See if
too.
Rangers can get through against the
See if West Ham
Leipzigs.
can get past Eintracht.
I mean the
We shall
Eintracht.
see.
Yeah.
Quite fancy Eintracht to get through that.
Don't know anything about them. Rangers did all right in the first leg, but we'll see what happens. I think they're at Ibrox tomorrow. That'd be good.
Yeah.
It'll be a good game. A good game for everyone to watch.
We will see you another time.
Another time, everyone. Yeah.
To either of the producers controlling this, mute JJ now.
No.
Just cut him off.
I should stop.
Completely.
Yeah.
Just stop him.
Okay,
Stop,
we're gonna
stop,
go and
stop,
I'm gonna make a
stop.
video now. Please watch at Tifo IRL in the morning. We're gonna have a video up about this.
Watch all the other IRL videos now, though. Like while you're waiting for the new video.
Watch the virtual reality
everything
one.
else. Yeah.
And the Formula One esports one we did.
Yeah,
If you find them
yeah,
all,
yeah,
you just
yeah.
go and search the channel. And just have a lovely time, everyone. Thank you very much for watching this, by the way.
Really nice time.
Thank you.
Really nice time.